is the rhythm of this is something that I totally took from Radiolab. That rhythm of making it interesting to the ear by having me come in, reporter come in, the subject come in, back and forth, and then sort of like the interviewee talks to the reporter talks to me, and I talk to you. And there's something about that connection between me and you, the listener, that is what I'm trying to create there. When I don't have something as life or death, like that happens on his show.
And did you?
It's something that like showed up in your show, and also in the book. It shows up in it's Planet Money, and it's Radiolab, and all three are like shows that are essentially about ideas, right? Essentially about, and there's plenty of stories to tell. I mean, run down the storytelling aspect, but it's like often it's the story of discovery, or it's the story of how this came to be, or there's.
I mean, when I say there's no story,
you mean there's no protagonist?
I mean, it's a little bit different than the typical story.
But this is what I struggle with all the time, trying to explain. You know, like with this book, there's no protagonist. It's the story of how you make stories, which is an idea. But you can do it. Yeah. It can be awesome.
So were you making the show and then you kind of realized, oh, when it kind of happens this way, it works the best? Or did you go in very intentionally thinking, I think, let's try this?
I mean, the thing was that at the stages I started 99, I was really intentional about it. I don't mean to make it sound canned or designed to an extent that makes it phony, but I was like, I want to be 40% Radiolab, 40% Memory Palace, 10%. I had this idea of like, what would work for this type of subject. And, and it was because I'd made radio for 10 years up to that point. Like, it was my little project to see if all these things that I've been working on came together in this way. I think that the show has gotten better. It's been going for 5 years now. The show has gotten better. But I think you hear the nature of the show from the very beginning. It's changed a lot and developed mainly because the staff is so good that it's just gotten so much better because of them. But I think you feel the bones of it are right there from episode 1. So.
And Glenn, is there your Snap formula, has that changed over the years?
No. I think much the wrong, we want to get better. And we certainly, I hope we're doing that. Snap was actually born in a lot of ways as a reaction to what I was hearing, as I told you before. This idea, especially that the communities I knew anything about weren't being represented, I thought, fairly in public media or any media. I thought that the spell casting was being broken just ridiculously, randomly, for no reason. And I also think this is it. This is what happened. This is what happened in public media. Thanks to Jessica's book and other things, really having to do with Ira. All goes back to Ira. Ira came up with a template of what public media stories should sound like. And it goes like this. First, I'm going to give you a little bit of exposition. I'm going to give you a little story. I'm going to give you a little reflection. Story, reflection, conclusion, bow. That's This American Life. But the problem that I had with this oftentimes was that it put the producer or the reporter in a position to judge, or from a godlike position, on everyone who was involved in the story. And I wanted to see what would it be if we moved the focus down, so that the storyteller, whoever lived this thing, could tell their own story all the way through and not be judged necessarily by some Eastern educated reporter. Now,
playing to their hometown audience.
Western educated reporters too.
At the end of a piece, the end of a story is magic. There's a gap. There's a gap at the end of every single story. And this gap is where you either kind of nod to the story and go on about your business, or you take this story internal to yourself. And again, we screw this up all the time in public media. And what I wanted to do there, instead of, if I tell you at the end of a story what a story means, I rob you of that story. I rob you of your ability to take this to internally. If instead I find a way to finish the story so that you feel emotionally satisfied, but ask almost as many questions, not answering any questions. Life isn't like that. I want to, at the end of the piece, have the protagonist doing whatever it is they do. Essentially, I will lead you to where they are, but I'm not going to make you think anything about it. I want to end the story essentially with a question. And if you end the story with a question, now it's your story. You own that story, and you're thinking about it in a different way than if I told you what it meant. And so it's a different type of a story structure. It's one that I'm actually pretty adamant about. In fact, the LA Times said I'm combative about it. That's how they do black people. But a combative storyteller. The idea of having what's what happened to the show on the radio where someone said, okay, someone said something, and then we do the public media is we interpret for our public media audience what this lower social economic person just said, so that make sure we're all in crowd together, me and you. I hate that. I hate that because America is smart enough to understand its own America. We are smart enough to speak to each other and understand what we're saying to each other. We do not need to be interpreted to. And it really gets in the way of the overall narrative that we're trying to make oftentimes. And that's again one of those things that points when you stop the spell testing and just mess it up for no reason. And I say that with love, because these are the people who taught me how much I do care about what stories sound like and bringing other communities into it. And I know now, I know for a fact, the show that they do in West Texas, in deep Mississippi, you can play a story from San Francisco about a transsexual stripper in deep Mississippi, and nobody calls or does anything about it because it's a story that comes from someone else's heart to another person. It's not asking for a polemic, it's not political, it's just like, this happened to me. And it's so wonderful that we're able to do this, that especially when you listen to what's happening right now in our political debate, where you have you have several jackasses right now, bragging each other on TV. And we get to actually tell stories, and at the end of it, you've seen this. When you watch Crossfire, and you watch these two idiots yell at each other, and you want to go take a shower. This happened to all of us. But when you listen to a story when someone actually says, this is what happened to me, this is what I did next, and you get a picture of a world that you've never seen before, oftentimes if it's told well and done properly, you don't want to just obey, you want to do something. You want to get up from that chair and participate. You want to go see the experience that they're talking about. I remember listening to a story recently on another show. Now I want to go see a Mexican wrestling match, because that was a pretty cool story. I want to see how much we lost. This is the power of stuff going on. This is, it's really important right now that we understand that this form is to really be inclusive and get into each other's head, because what's lacking in this country right now, I think, is empathy. And what storytelling does is
is the tone of the show, even though it's about ideas and objects. In fact, one of the things at the very beginning was the catchphrase I had was 99% invisible, nothing personal. because I really wanted it to be about ideas, but I wanted those ideas and I wanted the objects and the things that we cover, because we cover design, so it's really the built world in every way. But it's about finding the humanity in the built world and recognizing all these things that you take for granted. They were made for you by someone who fundamentally cared about you. And that's the feeling of the show, is about infusing all the objects around us with the humanity of intent. And so that is the spell that we try to cast. And it isn't about personal storytelling in that way, although sometimes those show up, of course. It's really about creating this space where you can enjoy and wonder about the world. Because, and this is the treasure of the show, is, I mean, it did that to me as the maker of the show. I became more aware, I became more empathic, I became just more sensitive to all these things in the world. And it seems to work. We never talked about that as the intent. It was never like part of a mission statement that went out. People just gathered that from the shows. And so you create that space through showing joy, exhibiting joy, exhibiting some kind of passion. I do go in and interpret things for people, but a lot of it is because to make these ideas come to life, you need geeky enthusiasm. And most of the time, the subject that you're interviewing can provide that. And if they don't provide it, well, I'll provide it. Because I can get into anything. Like, I love a lot of things. And so, and when we're doing a story, I'm the biggest fan of that idea or concept as it goes on. So that's very much, it's very much told from a point of view. Now, the point of view has expanded as the voices have expanded, but we still come at it from as a design column in certain ways. It certainly has facts, but we do provide perspective. And I like that. I was free to do that for the first time because I've been a reporter for a long time. I mean, we really play with it. I mean, the reason the show is great in this way that it's a series over time. So no one episode has to represent our philosophy of design or our philosophy of radio or anything. You're just looking to like do the next one, and that has a little different feel, and the next one has a little different feel. And over time, this like regression plot is formed, and you're like, you draw a line, and that is the thesis of 99% Invisible. And I love that as an ongoing series. Like, that was totally new to me, because these big shows that take their like 5 stories, they're really hard to do. It was really nice to have one that was like, this is very unusual for us. Let's just put it out there and see what it does, because we know the next week it'll be something new.
So what both of you are describing in your shows, it would be really easy to make terrible shows from the concepts that you're right. Like you're exceptional at what you do, and that's why it's good. And I think that
we've done that too.
I feel like if I tried to make one of your shows, like that's I would be on the floor.
That's Tuesday for us.
So
that's me and me. That was my method of coming up with stories at that point, was to lie on the floor and groan for a few weeks. Which is why doing that book was such an important turning point for me, because Ira had a system. He had whatever, didn't apply exactly to what I was doing, but it was a system, and it had parts, and there's order to things and all this stuff, and it was like the beginning of a whole 10-year investigation into how I wanted to tell stories and how I wanted to teach other people to tell stories. And all of it is about staying off that rug.
This is Bina, KALW series featuring artists and thinkers who've spoken at the Jewish Community Center of San Francisco. Today's program features Snap Judgment's Glenn Washington, 99% Invisible's Roman Mars, and cartoonist and writer Jessica Abel, whose book is out on the wire. the storytelling secrets of the new masters of radio. Bina is also available as a podcast, and you can find it at kalw.org.
You're listening to Local Public Radio 91.7 KALW, and this conversation is such a great down and dirty mechanics of how to do radio storytelling, how to do a lot of the things we do here on a daily basis at KALW. You appreciate having these little insights, these conversations into how to make media. Let us know by becoming a member or renewing your membership now at 800-525-9917.
If you love shows like Snap Judgment and 99% Invisible that got their start here at KALW, show your support. Give a call to 800-525-9917 or go to kalw.org. And actually, Ann, you're talking about the kind of mechanics. But what I like hearing about Glenn and Roman talking is like talking about the heart of what they do. What is it that they actually discovered in the process of making these programs? And I love when Glenn is talking about how hearing a story can make you more empathic, can actually make you want to engage with the world, things you might never have been familiar with otherwise. If you have that experience sometime during the week when you listen to KALW and you like that, we want you right now to keep that kind of media going that is empathic, that tells stories, that brings you places you wouldn't have gone otherwise through the airwaves. Your call at 800-525-9917 makes it happen.
And members of KALW, yes, you make programming like this happen, but it's also you're coming together to be a part of everything we do here at KALW. You're on our team, you're showing your support. Sure, that makes the programs go, but it's also you literally being a part, being on the roster of what we do at KALW. And that's, I know, one of my favorite parts when we have these short fundraising campaigns. It's getting to start to know who those people are who are listening and also want to take that next step to be a member. And you can do that right now at 800-525-9917 or go online to kalw.org and click donate.
Be an active and engaged listener, someone who says, yeah, I want to pay attention, I want to know more. Your support makes it happen.
800-525-9917, and thank you.
And I feel like still, I always have a rug in my studio just in case. And I feel like everybody I talk to practically in the radio book goes through that stage, not literally on the rug, but like that feeling of like, oh my God, how am I going to get this thing done? And I don't understand how this is going to go, and I'm crappy at my job, and the story sucks. And do you guys have that? Because I didn't ask you about it.
Sure. I mean, the thing is you have a deadline, so you just do it.
Yes, you do. Yes, that's true. But
yeah, no, you feel them. You do have those moments, but one of the things you do is you just soldier through it and realize that most of it is just. I don't believe in inspiration. You just do things.
oh, actually,
I so thank you for that.
yeah.
What makes the show happen is ass power. And by that, I mean, you have to sit your ass down there until it's done.
Well, that's why I think I was on the rug, is because I was waiting for inspiration, and not because I wanted to wait for inspiration, because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't have a system, like I didn't have a way to go about it. You know what I mean? I think I knew even then that inspiration was bunk, in that way. But it's like, how, and this is one of the parts of the book that I felt most strongly about including, is this idea of the German forest that comes from Jad Abumrad, and he calls it the German forest, or he goes, why German? And it's because he came up with this idea when he was working on a story about Wagner, so thus German. So I just go around calling it the dark forest, so it's a little bit more clear, but this idea of like, it's not that you have no ideas, not that you're just waiting for inspiration, but you have done a bunch of work, you have all this stuff, you have the material, you have all your research, but you don't know what the path is. You have this stuff and you don't know how to put it in order. I feel like that's as much of it's like maybe even like a greater problem with your kind of stories, Roman, than yours, Glenn, because Glenn, your stories are often they're chronological. You've got you're telling a story in a certain order because it happened in that order. And maybe you've changed things around a little bit for suspense, but basically, there's something suggested to you from the beginning. But when you're talking about an idea, an abstract concept, it's like,
Yeah. I mean, the way that I do it is I just pick my favorite part. It's not the beginning, it's not the middle, it's the end. It's just something that I'm inspired to do. it could be a piece of music that I really want to talk over that piece of music, and I'll just start there, and just whatever it is, and then it starts to form. Because I mean, I'm really adamant about the thing lives in audio, and so it's always reacting to the audio that comes before it or after it. And so once you start with one part, it just starts to coalesce, because you're going to have to react to the thing that the person said, and it can't be dry, and it can't be just the idea of what they said. It really is about the feeling and the emotion of what they said in some way. And then it just all starts to form, and then it all starts to form, and it's massive, and then you just start cutting it. And it's just like, it just works. Yeah. I mean, it's, it's, and the other luxury that I've had recently is, because there's enough ass power on the show,
Some parts of Louisiana, please continue to
out before Katrina and after Katrina within the agency.
So, I mean, I'd say it goes to how people are treated and how people are able to do their job and to really be able to help disaster survivors. And that's where people's hearts go to. That's why many people have been with FEMA for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And they stay there. They stay there because they are committed to the mission and to helping others.
FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, responding to 2 crises on the coasts of America, not to mention fires burning in the American West. Elizabeth Zimmerman, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Todd.
Elizabeth Zimmerman is the former Associate Administrator for FEMA's Office of Response and Recovery. Well, as we cover Harvey and Irma and their impact on the American coastline, we've been asking you, have you or someone you know ever received assistance from FEMA?
My name is Vanessa Walker. I'm calling from St. Simon's Island, Georgia, where we're about to evacuate for Hurricane Irma. But I did receive some FEMA funds back in 1977. My family and I were affected by a flood in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. We lost a lot, both personal items and business inventory during that flood. And later in the year, my family and I traveled to Washington, D.C. on a convoy of school buses to go advocate for emergency assistance fund. There were a few staff members and some legislators in the offices, and we went in door to door and told them about our experiences and how hard it was.
Surviving a disaster and then advocating in Washington, D.C. One experience in an American family with FEMA. Have you or your family had any experiences with FEMA? We want to know. Call us at 877-8-MY-TAKE, or you can always tweet us at The Takeaway. Thank you so much for listening on this Thursday. I'm Todd Zwillick. This is The Takeaway.
Public Radio International.
Support for KQED this afternoon comes from Cal Performances, presenting Chicago Symphony Orchestra with conductor Riccardo Muti in 3 programs, October 13th through the 15th at Zellerbach Hall. Tickets at calperformances.org. And by Eric and Wendy Schmidt, whose family foundation advances the wiser use of energy and natural resources on a planet where everything is connected. On the web at theschmidt.org.
Hi, this is Denise from Corte Madera, and I just donated to KQED, and I've been putting this off for a long time. I keep getting the envelopes in the mail, and just driving in today, I was thinking how grateful I am to be able to listen to this radio station and get the incredible news and coverage, not only just my daily news, but arts and entertainment and everything from fresh air to the California Report. And I'm thrilled to be able to be in a position to contribute and really appreciate everything you do. So thank you, and keep doing great work.
Thank you, Denise, so much for calling and making a contribution and leaving that nice comment and saying, yeah, I put it off for a long time, and now I got it. You and a lot of other people. You and a lot of other people. And welcome, and thank you so much again. Good afternoon. I'm Claire Green. I'm here with Matt Elmore. We have just left the takeaway, and we're going to head into fresh air in just a few minutes. But in between, we're going to see if we can get you to do what Denise did and call 1-800-937-8850. or go to kqed.org/donate and become a member of the station. It's day 3 of our membership drive. We've been doing really, really well. As we've been letting you know, it's $1.2 million a month to run this operation. So we come to you just 3 times a year and try and do the best we can to raise as much as we can to keep that enterprise running, and you have met us every time. So come on, 1-800-937-8850. Give us a call. We have a dollar for dollar challenge.
Yeah, one of the advantages to making a contribution right now, it's in the amount of $500, and as you said, Claire, it comes from Dave and Debbie Hopkins of the KQED President's Circle, which is a group of members who make significant annual contributions to KQED. But once again, we need to remind you that if we're not able to make the challenge before the break is over, we'll have to offer to return this $500. They don't want that, we don't want that, and I'm sure you don't want that as well. So if you can make a contribution that can be used to work against the dollar for dollar challenge, and that will be able to double the face value of your contribution, then now's the time to make the call to 1-800-937-8850. That's 1-800-937-8850. Or you can join us online at kqed.org/donate and have your contribution doubled there as well.
That's an absolutely good thing to do. 1-800-937-8850. People who work here in the building have snuck down into the pledge room, not for a power bar, but to talk to you, because they've taken a few moments away from their busy workday to speak with you and get you signed up for membership. And it's fun for them because it's nice to get a phone call from someone who says, sign me up. It's a nice thing. And so it just takes a few moments. So if you can give us a call at 1-800-937-8850 and talk with one of our fellow staff members, that would be great. Dave and Debbie Hopkins of the KQED's President's Circle will be happy because they get to match their money dollar for dollar. It'd be fun if they just stood in there with a big Mary Poppins kind of, like suitcase and just, okay, how much is that one? Here you go, here you go. Or go to kqed.org/donate because Dave and Debbie Hopkins' money works there as well. 1-800-937-8850.
Let's talk about the grand prize drawing, because this is another advantage to making your contribution right now. When you do make a contribution at 1-800-937-8850 or go online to kqed.org/donate, you are automatically entering yourself into the grand prize drawing, the winner of which will receive a brand new 2017 Subaru Impreza Premium Package hatchback from our great friends at Premier Subaru of Fremont. They're at the Fremont Auto Mall. This is a newly redesigned vehicle. It's fuel efficient. The 2017 Subaru Impreza is built to last and has an overall 5-star safety rating. Full-time all-wheel drive. It uses the Subaru Starlink audio system that's compatible with most smartphones, and it's got a spacious cargo area. And if you've got a family, this is a great Subaru for the entire family. So thanks again to our friends at Premier Subaru of Fremont. We invite you to get yourself entered into the contest here so that you possibly could win a brand new car when the pledge drive is over. If you can make a contribution at the same time, that would be lovely. We're going to be able to double it thanks to Dave and Debbie Hopkins of KQED's President's Circle.
1-800-937-8850. We really do need to match the money that they put up for this dollar for dollar challenge. So it would be great if we could get a few more calls in and make sure that we meet that $500 challenge. 1-800-937-8850 or go online to kqed.org/donate. Matt, we have 2 ways. It's national disasters seem to be the flavor of the news today. We have 2 gifts that can help you be prepared here in the Bay Area. We have the $15 a month contribution will get you the 3-day emergency kit. That's a backpack full of emergency supplies for up to 3 days, and that's good for one person. And of course, when you get the bright red backpack, you can add your own things to it: medications, glasses, more batteries, more flashlights. There are those things in there, but there aren't batteries or medication. But I mean, there is a flashlight in there, but you can add more headlamps and things like that you want to bulk up that emergency kit with. But we also have, if you're able to give $1 a day, or $30 a month, we have that total survival bucket.
Yeah, this is full of FEMA recommended essential supplies that includes everything that 2 people would need to survive after an earthquake or a prolonged power outage. It's good for about a week, and the large bucket comes with a porta-potty lid, so in case the water service is out at your particular location, you're covered there. And we have added a hand crank emergency radio with a cell phone charger into this bucket, which also has plenty of room for additional supplies, and that's available for $1 a day.